Urban. The news coming just a day after reports Australia's golden couple had separated after 19 years of marriage.
Cities. The news came just one day after it was said that Australia's golden couple had split up after 19 years of marriage. For almost 20 years, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban seemed like they could never be harmed. The movie star and the country music star looked like they had everything: fame, wealth, and a love story that stood the test of time. But in 2025, that perfect picture was broken when Keith quietly packed up his things and left their Nashville home. Soon after that, Nicole asked for a divorce. Finally, the truth she had hidden for years began to get out. A sad story was told behind the smiles on the red carpet, the gentle handshakes, and the perfectly staged pictures. A story full of heartache, tiredness, and betrayal. Nicole had worked hard for years to keep her family's image of being perfect, even after the guy next to her gave up. It looked like a perfect marriage, but it was really a love story that was coming apart quietly. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were huge stars for almost 20 years, but their love story showed that fame didn't have to end love. It looked like they found a balance between glitz and modesty, between talent and loyalty. But behind the lights and perfect looks, there were holes in their relationship that no one could see. Like many famous Hollywood love stories, theirs began with pure magic and finished with quiet heartbreak. In 2005, they met for the first time at the Day USA Gala in Los Angeles, an event meant to honor Australian stars who are making waves in other countries. Nicole was 38 years old at the time, and she was still glowing from her Oscar win. But deep down, she was still hurting from the breakup with Tom Cruise and losing control of Isabella and Connor. Nicole fixed her job, her looks, and her inner strength. But what she really wanted was for her family to feel whole again. At the time, Keith was 37 years old and a rising country star. He wrote songs that were very sad that went deep. He was having problems inside and trying to avoid the chaos that fame can bring. There are times when they win and times when they lose. They were very different from each other. At the same time, they saw each other in their pain. Two people looking for peace in a world that never stopped looking. Their love for each other grew slowly but surely. It wasn't one of those flashy flings that make the news. Indeed, Keith didn't even call her for months. He later said that her presence left him speechless and almost scared him with how naturally she handled herself. Things changed though when he finally reached out. Sparks flew right away. And by June 2006, they were making their way down the aisle at a beautiful wedding at Sydney's St. Patrick's Estate by candlelight. Nicole looked beautiful in her custom Balenciaga dress, and Keith lit up the night with his own love song, which she will never forget. It was a small, touching wedding that some people have called a love story written in gold. But fairy tale ends don't always work out in real life. Keith went to rehab 4 months after that magical night because he was addicted to drink. Nicole was caught off guard, but she wouldn't leave him. She went to see him in treatment, kept him out of the news, and told her friends and family that love meant being there for someone even when they were at their worst. She kept their picture strong for years afterward. Keith would often thank Nicole on stage, his voice shaking with emotion. He would call Nicole his saving grace and the woman who always believed in him. Nicole always had a lot of love to say about Keith. In 2008, she said that he was the one who brought her back to life. In the same year, they had their first daughter, Sunday Rose. In 2010, they had their second daughter, Faith Margaret. Everyone thought it was a beautiful shot. The strict queen of Hollywood and the wild heart of Nashville are beautifully joined by love. But the flaws in their fairy tale started to show through those beautiful family pictures. While Keith tried to find music all over the world and Nicole was left at home to take care of her kids and deal with her deep fear of losing another husband. The calls she was waiting for late at night never came, and she felt even more alone. Keith buried himself in his work, and Nicole hid how she felt in quiet and ease. She was strong and always willing to forgive. But even the nicest heart can only do so much. By the time the rumors got around, the couple that everyone loved was barely hanging on. Behind closed doors, the magic was disappearing quickly, and the idea of perfection was quickly falling apart. By the time they were 10 years old, their marriage was more of a show than a real relationship. They had made it through something most couples can't: rehab, fame, and a long way to go. But both of them were tired from having to look like they couldn't be broken. They were perfect in their parts on the red carpet, holding hands like teenage lovers who just broke up and saying things like, "We've never been stronger," and "We're each other's rocks." But those practice smiles were really signs of being tired. Nicole was keeping up a marriage that had been putting stress on her for years, while Keith was getting antsy because he was sick of always being the one who needed saving. It became hard for them to keep their love in check. Because of the chaos in her past, Nicole wants peace, family, and security. They kept their vows even though Keith's life was full of late nights, long tours, and constant temptation. You should never be apart for more than a few weeks. Talk every night before bed. But life has its own plans. Over time, those promises became hard to keep. They kept breaking their promises, and the silence between them got unbearable. Warmth, which used to describe their love, slowly turned into space. Instead of passion, there was quiet anger. Nicole wanted to be with people and feel safe, while Keith wanted to be free and have room. By the middle of the 2020s, their perfect marriage had turned into a show that everyone wanted to see again and again. But fans still held on to the idea that they were Hollywood's last real marriage, so they played their parts. Keith would kiss her on the shoulder and say something sweet for the cameras at award shows. Nicole would smile with style, always keeping her cool. But people who were close to them could feel the change, the fake laughter, the practiced love, and the way her body tensed up when he touched her. Some people close to him said that Nicole was done being his support. He thought of her strength as in charge. His lack of closeness made her feel rejected. The woman who used to feel calm in his arms now felt like she was stuck in a role she couldn't finish. Some people thought that the couple was living different lives by 2023. Keith spent more time on the road than at home, while Nicole worked hard and took care of the kids. She tried to keep everything together, though. She didn't want to lose 2 more kids to silence because she had already lost 2 to distance. But the silence kept getting louder, and love slowly turned into an unsaid goodbye. By the beginning of 2024, the cracks were clear. Nicole was in London shooting Practical Magic 2 with Sandra Bullock when her friends noticed something wasn't right. Her voice was softer, less sure, and more scattered now. The way she talked about Keith was different from the present tense. It was like she knew the conversation was going to drift. In Nashville, Keith moved into a different place without telling anyone. He told his close friends that he needed time to clear his mind. But that wasn't how things really were. He had already decided what to do. He was no longer married, but Nicole didn't know it for months because she thought they were just getting through another storm. When the tabloids asked her about the rumors, she answered with her normal poise, "Marriage is work. We both promised to do it." Behind that cool front, though, it was very clear. The promise wasn't made by both sides anymore. Keith started to move away slowly. At first, he missed calls, then family dinners, and so on, until he was gone for days or even weeks. By June 2024, they were no longer together at all. Nicole was in London working long hours on a movie, while Keith was on tour and around all the noise that comes with being famous. A sound. That was a clever way to hide his guilt. They were last seen together in public on June 20th at a soccer game in Nashville. But that night, something didn't feel right. Even though they were standing next to each other, their bodies spoke a different language. Far away and tense, like 2 players who had to share a stage after the curtain had come down. In the end, Keith's friends said that he had already decided by that night. He was done. Nicole walked into silence when she got home from London. Nothing was said or done in an empty house. It was just quiet. The disappearance. That quiet broke a woman's heart because she had thought for years that love could last through anything. She wouldn't let the story get out of hand, though. Nicole kept her cool and looked beautiful even when rumors spread that Keith was seeing someone from his traveling crew. She put all of her attention on her girls, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, and vowed that she would not let the same thing happen again. Fans thought Nicole was the one leaving when they heard in late September that she had officially filed for divorce. But people who knew the couple well told the truth. Keith had already left a long time ago. The reason she filed wasn't to gain power or get even. It was the end. She was finally getting away from a love she had fought for by herself. Nicole filed the papers on September 30th, 2025, saying that they could not get along anymore. But those dry formal words only touched on the surface of what really happened. They had been deeply loyal to each other for 19 years, but their hearts had been broken quietly. There was silence that spoke louder than any disagreement. After being Hollywood's golden couple for almost 20 years, their story had come full circle. They didn't end in anger or scandal, but in a quiet way that only their closest friends and family really understood. Nicole finally chose to file, but it wasn't a quick choice. It came about after months of heartache and thought. Sources close to her said she had been tormented by it for weeks, hanging on to a tiny hope that Keith would change his mind. But he didn't. A few weeks ago, he quietly signed the papers that said he agreed that they were no longer married. Things were even more painful because of the time. Nicole filed only 24 hours after everyone found out that Keith had moved out of their Nashville home. It wasn't a cold or planned move on her part. "I had to stay alive." People who knew her well said that the public filing was her last strong move, a silent message to a guy who had already left her. A person